Being off my phone is my favorite addiction, and I mean that the way someone means it when they're talking about a real addiction, the kind where you will do whatever it takes to get back to it. Most people are white knuckling this, trying to use their phone less out of sheer willpower, but that's not what happened for me. I got a taste of what it actually felt like to be fully present with my family, and I became fiercely protective of it. And once you feel that, you can't unfeel it. Stay with me because by the end of this, you'll understand why this is a fight worth having and you'll have a real strategy to start getting there. I've always noticed when a device pulls someone away from the person right in front of them, even before smartphones were a thing. I remember working a shift at a restaurant in high school and there was a couple on a date and both of them were looking down at their flip phones. They weren't even smartphones, they were just flip phones. And I wasn't even on the date, but it bothered me so deeply. There was just something about watching two people sit across from each other and completely miss each other that really got under my skin because that's not the way it's supposed to be. And again, that was before it was even normal to see. Now, everybody does it and nobody even thinks twice about it. But then the iPhone came out and I was at the time living with a friend and I love her very much. She got hers in the mail and we were sitting on the couch together, hanging out. She pulled it out of the box and spent a long time just looking at it. I felt that same frustration because she was right there and yet she wasn't there at all. When I was single, the cost of that kind of distraction was a delayed assignment or something similar. Inconvenient, sure, but not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things. But now the cost is completely different. Now what's at stake is my children's hearts and the warmth of my marriage, the heartstrings that I am either tying or I'm letting go slack. And trust me, I've been pulled and I've been distracted. I'm not saying I haven't, but I'm saying that what you stand to lose now is not inconsequential. It's people and time with those people that you will never get back. So here's how I think about it. Having a smartphone is kind of like leaving a window that's wide open into the entire world right inside your home. Everything out there is vying for your attention all at once, all day long. You know that feeling when you're trying to have a real conversation with your husband or a friend and the kids are pulling at both arms and your brain just feels like it's going to explode. You can't really hear anything. That's what a smartphone does to your soul, except it's not just one moment. It's literally every moment, all day, every day. It's always tugging. And I'll be honest, I'm clinically ADD and I just do not handle it well personally. But honestly, I don't think anybody handles it well. These devices are not hard to resist because we're simply weak. These apps did not end up addictive by accident. The engineers who built them deliberately borrow tactics from how slot machines are designed, triggering dopamine to keep you scrolling because your attention is literally their profit. So they capitalize on your distraction on purpose. Here's why it's a problem. Deuteronomy 6 tells us to impress God's commands on our children's hearts when we sit at home, when we walk along the road, when we lie down, and when we get up. But you can only impress things on your children's hearts when you're actually with them, fully with them, not half present with one eye on the screen. And here's the cycle that so many of us are stuck in. We are already overwhelmed trying to manage everything at home. So the temptation can be that we simply reach for the phone for a minute just to check out for a second, but the scrolling sucks us in. And honestly, the majority of the time, it makes the overwhelm worse. We come back to life foggier, more behind, more reactive, more distracted, and then we reach for the phone again. But here's what nobody talks about. What happens when the tugging stops? By the way, if you're watching this and the overwhelm of managing your home is part of what keeps pulling you back to your phone, I have something for you. I put together a simple starter routine for overwhelmed moms who just need someone to tell them what to do. No complicated systems, no pressure. It's just a bare minimum daily rhythm to help you stabilize the basics of your home so that you can actually be present in it. So I'll link that down below. Go check it out. But let's get back to it. The first time that I really noticed that I really felt it, that feeling when the tugging stopped, I wasn't expecting it because it wasn't really dramatic. There was a long season where I just went cold turkey. I switched to a flip phone and left the smartphone behind entirely. And honestly, something in me just settled and I loved it. The noise in my head, not the noise in the room, but the noise in my head got so much quieter. And honestly, there were some practical hiccups along the way that led me to get rid of the flip phone after a long time of using it. I made a video about it. I can link it down below. But the detachment that I experienced from having it, I loved it. I could hear my child's voice differently. They would ask me questions or tell me random little stories, and I was actually there for it and listening. I wasn't half present or nodding my head while my mind drifted. I was just there. I was fully with them. And what I felt wasn't emptiness or pulling from not scrolling. I was free. It was like the fog lifted and I could finally see and savor what was right in front of me. And once I felt that, I understood what had been stolen and what steals from us moms all the time. Because here's the contrast. Living with a smartphone has this constant low-grade noise to it. Even when you're not looking at the phone, part of your brain is still there. It's still half listening for a ping or wondering what you need to check really quick. It's still processing whatever you last saw. It's like having a conversation with someone who keeps calling you back from another room. You're present, but you're not. But on the other hand, once I got that taste again of being fully in the room that I didn't realize that I had lost along the way, I became fiercely protective of it. And that's the addiction flip. Just like someone addicted to a phone will do whatever it takes to get back to it, I started doing whatever it took to protect being present. The jealousy flipped direction, and that jealousy is a good thing. Willpower runs out, but strong desires and discipline that comes from it does not. Ephesians 5:15-16 says to be careful how we live and make the most of every opportunity. But you cannot redeem the time if half your mind is somewhere else the majority of the time. And here's something I think about a lot. My generation is the last one that remembers the sweetness of life before constant connectivity. We knew what it felt like to be bored and to sit still, to be fully in a room, and to have the sheer joy of choreographing dances to 90s music that we performed for our moms and not for TikTok. It is up to us to reclaim that and to teach our children what it feels like to be fully alive in real life and not immersed in a screen. Now, before we talk about what we actually do, I want to talk about why it matters enough to fight for it at all. Do I do this perfectly? Absolutely not. But I believe this is a God-honoring way to help us steward our time. Because if you're a Christian, you are not doing this for a habit's sake. You are not doing this because some productivity guru told you that screen time is bad. You're doing it because you want to be a good steward of what God has given you. Your time, your attention, your family, and just this season of life that you're never going to get back. And that changes everything about how you approach it. The world frames this as a digital detox or a reset, something you might do for a few weeks to feel better, and then you drift back into old patterns, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about stewardship. When you choose to step back from scrolling addictions and find ways and fight for ways to use your phone as a tool instead of letting it use you, you're saying, God has placed these specific people in front of me in this home in this season, and I want to be fully present for it. Not because I'm trying to be a perfect mom, because that's not possible, but because I genuinely believe that this is what I'm called to, and that this is a way that I can honor and glorify Him with the life that He's given me. Here's the vicious cycle so many of us are caught in, and I touched on this earlier, but I want to name it again here because it's important. We are already overwhelmed, moms, learning to manage a home, raising children, trying to keep up with everything. It's a lot. And when you're overwhelmed, the easiest thing in the world is to reach for the phone and just check out. But like I said, and that a minute leads to many wasted minutes, and the scrolling ultimately makes the overwhelm worse. And nothing actually got better. If anything, it got worse. But you can break this cycle. We're not stuck. We're not a victim of what our proclivities are. We, by the help of the Holy Spirit and conviction, can break the cycle. It's not about willpower. So, practically speaking, it helps not to do this alone. So I would encourage any Christ-loving mother who struggles with this to start with prayer. And if you're married, have a conversation about this with your husband. Or if you're not married, talk about it with a friend or close friend. Accountability is so helpful when you're breaking something that has a real grip on you, because phones really do have a grip on so many of us. And I want to encourage you, and paint the vision for you. The relief is so real and it's so glorious. Once that grip loosens and you start getting back into real life, there's a fog that lifts, there's less anxiety. It genuinely feels like you're coming up for air because we're not designed to be everywhere at once. That is not how God designed our minds and our bodies to work. We're called to steward what's right in front of us. And so there's so much sweetness waiting for you there. So what does that look like actually on a real day and real life? The core principle here is simple. Make the bad habit harder and make the good habit easier. That's it. You're not overhauling your entire life. You are just building a little friction between yourself and the scroll and removing friction between yourself and real life. The first practical strategy is to dumbify your phone. If you have an Android, I have a full video walking you through exactly how to do that. If you have an iPhone, there's an app called Dumbphone or Dumbify, I can't remember. It strips down your iPhone and makes it far less attractive to pick up, though you can't fully remove the browser. And if you really want to take the plunge, you can always get a flip phone, but make sure that you watch the video that I'm going to link down below before you do that. The goal is simply friction. It's, again, one more step between you and the thing that pulls you in. The second move is to use paper for planning. I use a simple notebook, nothing fancy. It costs about $12, and you can get one cheaper than that. But it keeps my thinking off my phone entirely because the moment you pick up your phone to jot something down, you're one tap away from everything else. Paper does not do that. It helps you stay right where you are. The third move is what I think of as the put off, put on principle. You're not just removing a distraction, you're replacing it with something that pulls you toward real life. So put your phone in another room during key relational points in the day, like school, meals, family worship, time with your husband in the evenings. And at the same time, put a good habit right in front of you. Your notebook on the counter, a book on the couch, a child within arm's reach, just looking at your family members in the eyeballs whenever you're talking with them and smiling. Make the better choice the obvious one. All that to say, I would encourage you to not try to do all of this at once. Pick your biggest pain point or point of temptation and take one specific step. You can always layer in more later, maybe in a week or whatever. And then find one person to be accountable to. Proverbs 4:25 says to fix your gaze directly ahead on your children, your home, your husband, and this moment that's right in front of you. That's where your life actually is. Again, you were not designed to be everywhere at once. You were designed to be here, fully present wherever you are. And that is where the sweetness of life is found. The fog does lift, the anxiety does quiet, and the fruit is absolutely worth every inconvenient step it takes to get there. And it's a process, so don't let the wrestling throw you off. And if you're ready to take one step toward a more present, less overwhelmed home life, grab my starter routine for moms below. It's simple, it's practical, and it's designed for the season where you just need someone to hand you a place to start. It's waiting for you in the link below. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.